Hey, welcome back to our channel. And if you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, you may have noticed something interesting lately. Menopause is finally having a moment. We're talking about it more. Doctors are talking about it more. Social media, of course, is talking about it. And there are more treatments, products, medications, supplements, and solutions being marketed to women more than ever before. But here's the problem. Not everything that's trending is actually worth your attention. So today, we're breaking down 7 of the biggest menopause trends happening right now. What they mean, what the evidence says, and what you should be asking your healthcare provider. We're talking about hormones, weight gain, GLP-1 meds, hot flashes, vaginal health, sleep, brain fog, and something I think is perhaps the biggest trend of all: women demanding better menopause care. But make sure you stay until the end because I'll tell you the one menopause trend I think is actually the most important. For decades, many women were essentially told, "You're getting older, this is normal, just deal with it." And I have to say, even in now times, I still believe that is true. However, that attitude is starting to change. And honestly, it's about time. Of course, menopause is a normal biological transition, but that doesn't mean women have to simply accept debilitating symptoms. The hot flashes, the night sweats, the sleep problems, the mood changes, it all impacts the quality of life. And more women are asking, well, what can I actually do about this? And the question is driving a huge amount of interest in menopause treatments. Interestingly, though, there's still a major gap between awareness and treatment. So, we're going to be talking about menopause more than ever before. But many women still aren't receiving evidence based treatment. And that's going to bring us to our next trend. Let's talk about trend number 2 because hormone therapy is back in the conversation. Hormone therapy, it's often called HRT or menopausal hormone therapy, and it's probably one of the biggest and most controversial menopause topics because the conversations are starting to change. Because recently, the FDA approved labeling changes for several menopausal hormone therapy products. Those changes removed references to cardiovascular disease, breast cancer, probable dementia, and it was removed from the boxed warning of these products. But I want to slow down here a minute because this is the important thing. The FDA removed the warnings. It does not mean new research proved hormone therapy is safe. Those things will still happen. And that is an important distinction. The FDA says its decision was based on a review of the existing scientific literature, along with an expert panel and public comments. In other words, this was a reassessment of the evidence and how the risks were communicated. It's not a brand new clinical trial that suddenly erased all of the long term research that was done prior to the removal of these words. And there's another piece of this conversation. Please don't ignore its profitability. Hormone therapy is a huge potential market. Millions of women experience menopause symptoms, and companies have been expanding their menopause business and treatment offerings. So, whenever a major regulatory warning is removed and a multi billion-dollar market suddenly becomes more attractive, I think it's very fair to ask who benefits financially from this change. So, it doesn't mean we shouldn't confuse a change in labeling with proof that the underlying risks have disappeared. So, the more accurate message here is hormone therapy is not automatically dangerous, but it isn't automatically safe either. The risks and benefits most certainly depend on the individual woman. It includes her age, when she started treatment, how long she's on treatment, the symptoms, medical history, type and dose of hormones, route of administration, and there are different forms of treatments. There are pills, there are patches, there are gels, there are creams. So, yes, the conversation around HRT is changing. But I don't think the takeaway should be the FDA removed the warning, so we're good now. The takeaway should be the FDA has changed how these risks are communicated, which means we're no longer communicating the risks on the labeling products. So, this is why we do these videos. Your healthcare, discuss it with your doctor because it should be based on you and not based on fear, not based on hype, and certainly not somebody else's financial incentive. Now, let's talk about trend number 3. This topic, it's generating some of the biggest conversations online. GLP-1 medications. And you've probably heard them under certain names such as Wegovy, Ozempic, semaglutide. These medications haven't completely changed the conversation around weight management. And women are now starting to ask, can GLP-1 medication help with menopause weight gain? Well, the short answer is it may help with weight management in appropriate patients, but menopause isn't simply just a weight problem. Because during perimenopause and menopause, body composition changes, and many women notice more abdominal fat, changes in muscle mass, changes in appetite, difficulty maintaining the same weight that they had when they were younger. That doesn't mean your metabolism suddenly broke. And GLP-1 medications aren't magic menopause medications. They are prescription drugs with benefits, risks, side effects, and specific medical indications. And there's also growing interest in how GLP-1 medications might interact with menopausal hormone therapy and how women can protect muscle while losing weight. Current medical discussions, of course, emphasize combining appropriate medication use with nutrition, physical activity, blah, blah, blah. And this is an area where I want women to be especially careful because social media can turn this medication, help me lose weight, into every woman in menopause needs this medication. And that is absolutely not the truth. Those are two very different statements and two very different things to consider. So, if you are considering a GLP-1 med, talk to your healthcare provider whether you're a candidate for it or not. So, let's talk about trend number 4. And this is a menopause topic that women have been talking about privately for years, although I think it needs to be more of a public conversation. Vaginal and pelvic health. There are real menopausal symptoms when it comes to your vagina: dryness, burning, urinary symptoms, pain during sex, changes in sexual function. All of these things are happening during menopause. These symptoms can be incredibly disruptive, and yet many women simply assume there's something they have to tolerate after menopause, and that's not necessarily true. There are different approaches depending on the symptoms. For some women, local vaginal estrogen may be an option. For others, there are lubricants, pelvic floor therapy, other treatments that can help your symptoms. We're seeing broader conversations about pelvic health as part of overall menopause care. Even contraception deserves attention during perimenopause. So here's something that surprises many women. Perimenopause is not the same thing as being unable to become pregnant. Stress that. You can still ovulate during perimenopause. You can still become pregnant late in life babies. And recent discussions have highlighted how hormonal IUDs can sometimes help with heavy bleeding while also providing contraception. So don't be embarrassed to bring up vaginal, sexual, urinary, or pelvic symptoms with your healthcare doctor. These are legitimate health concerns, and you do. Trend number 5, non hormonal options for hot flashes. This is a big deal, ladies. More attention to non hormonal menopause treatments is being conducted. And there has been real world studies going on about how certain prescription meds can be used off label to treat hot flashes, certain antidepressant medications, and other prescription options. But the important message here is this: you have options. And if you can't or don't want to take hormones, that doesn't mean you have to simply suffer with hot flashes. Again, treatment does need to be individualized. So please don't confuse natural with safe or prescription with bad. You have options here. You have a lot of options. So the question should always be, what has evidence behind it? What does the actual research say? And really, what is appropriate for me? Let's talk about trend number 6. Okay, brain fog. You know what that is. Sometimes you walk into a room and think, what the heck did I just come in here for? Right? Yeah. And then you start wondering, is something seriously wrong with me? Well, for many women, cognitive symptoms can occur during the menopause transition. And this is one reason menopause conversations need to go beyond hot flashes. Sleep is also part of this picture. Because imagine if you're waking up several times a night because you're sweating, then you're tired the next day. Then you're stressed because you're tired. You see how this all plays a part. You try to work, you try to look after your family, you exercise, and you feel mentally exhausted. Of course you do. So instead of looking at menopause as one symptom, hot flashes, night sweats, we need to look at the bigger picture. It all correlates: sleep, mood, stress, hormones, physical activity, nutrition, and overall health. So if you're experiencing significant or sudden cognitive changes, don't automatically blame menopause though. Always remember, anything, discuss your symptoms with your doctor. Personalization. Trend number 7. And this is a good one because there isn't a one size fits all menopause experience. So, what is the best approach for women at this stage? What is the best approach? Well, that means, what symptoms am I having? What am I specifically dealing with? Are my concerns mainly my weight? Maybe I have vaginal dryness. Maybe I'm just not sleeping at night. This is where you decide, who do I want to talk to about this? What do I want to try? Because there is no one miracle solution, but you do have options. So just remember, before you go out, before you go buying things, be smart about it. What evidence supports this? Who is selling it? Why are they selling it? Definitely, what are the risks? And is this actually treating my symptoms, or is someone simply selling me the idea that I need fixing. No, you're worth so much more. So, what should we take away from all of this? Menopause care is advancing slowly, hopefully, surely. But we're talking about things differently, and that's the important thing. We're starting to pay attention to ourselves and we're starting to ask important questions and seeking answers. We're acknowledging menopause affects much more than my period has stopped and whew, I'm feeling awfully hot today. But here's the most important thing. Don't chase every menopause trend. No, understand your symptoms, track what you're experiencing, get appropriate medical advice, ask questions, be curious, and don't ever be afraid to get a second opinion if you feel like your concerns are being dismissed. You're not imagining the changes happening in your body, and you don't have to accept suffering as the price of getting older. So please, if this video helped you understand what's happening in the menopause conversation right now, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And I really would love to hear from you. What menopause topic do you want us to cover next? Weight gain? HRT? GLP? Let me know in the comments below. Or maybe there's something nobody else is talking about and you want more information. That's what this channel is about. So tell me in the comments because your questions help shape my next video. And remember, menopause isn't the end of your story, it's a new chapter, and you deserve to enter that chapter informed, supported, and heard. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, you be well.